Dae-hyun wiped the grease from his hands as he stepped into the cold salvage bay. The massive room smelled like metal and old fuel. He had been working on this station for 5 years now, fixing broken ships and sorting through space junk. It was not exciting work, but it paid well enough. Today's haul came from a destroyed vessel near the asteroid belt. The ship had been blown apart in some kind of fight. Dae-hyun's job was to check everything before it got sold or recycled. Most of it was useless scrap metal and damaged equipment. He walked between the piles of debris, his boots clanking on the metal floor. His scanner beeped as he moved it over different pieces. Nothing interesting so far. Just broken panels and burnt wiring. Then the scanner made a different sound. Something was still powered on. Dae-hyun followed the signal to a large container pushed against the back wall. It was different from the other salvage. This one had warning symbols he did not recognize. The metal was thick and expensive looking. Small lights blinked on its control panel. He called Hana on his communicator. She ran the administrative side of the station and knew more about alien tech than anyone else here. Found something weird, Dae-hyun said. Can you come to Bay 7? Hana arrived 10 minutes later. She was tall and always looked tired. Running a salvage station meant dealing with problems all day long. She studied the container with narrow eyes. This is bad, she said quietly. See those symbols? That's a slave trader containment pod. Dae-hyun felt his stomach turn. He had heard stories about slave traders, but never seen their equipment up close. The galaxy had laws against slavery. But out here in the border zones, laws meant nothing. What's inside? He asked. Could be anything. These pods keep prisoners sedated during transport. Hana checked her datapad. According to salvage rights, this counts as property dispute territory. We're supposed to leave it alone and report it. There's someone alive in there, Dae-hyun said. His scanner showed life signs. A heartbeat. Breathing, probably. But Dae-hyun, if we open this, we could start a legal nightmare. Whoever owned this pod might come looking for their property. Property? It's a person. Hana sighed. She knew that tone in his voice. Dae-hyun had a stubborn streak when it came to doing the right thing. It had gotten him in trouble before. Just think about it before you do anything stupid, she said, and left the bay. Dae-hyun stood there for a long time, staring at the blinking lights. He thought about walking away, going back to his quarters, letting someone else deal with it. But he could not. Inside that metal box was a living being who had been captured, trapped, probably terrified. He started working on the control panel. The locking mechanism was complex, but Dae-hyun was good with machines. It took him 3 hours to bypass the security systems. His hands shook a little as he pressed the final release command. The pod hissed and split open. Cold steam poured out. Dae-hyun stepped back, not sure what to expect. The creature inside was huge. It stood almost 7 feet tall when it unfolded from the cramped space. Its body was covered in short golden fur, with black stripes. The face was feline, with sharp teeth and bright amber eyes. Powerful muscles moved under the fur as it stumbled forward. Around its neck were 3 thick metal collars. They hummed with energy. Dae-hyun could see burn marks in the fur where the collars touched skin. The creature was breathing hard, and its eyes were unfocused. It was female, he realized. And she had been hurt. Badly. Scars covered her arms and back. Some looked old. Others, fresh. She fell to her knees, making a sound that was half growl, half moan. The collars were shocking her. Dae-hyun could see the electricity jumping across the metal. He did not think. He just moved. His toolkit was still on the floor. He grabbed a power cutter and approached carefully. The creature's eyes locked onto him. For a moment, Dae-hyun thought she might attack. Those claws could tear him apart easily, but she stayed still, watching him with an intelligence that was fully aware. "I'm going to help," Dae-hyun said softly. He doubted she understood his words, but maybe she would understand his tone. He worked on the first collar. The locking mechanism was designed to kill the wearer if tampered with. One wrong move, and the collar would release all its energy at once. Daehyun's hands were steady as he disabled the kill switch, then cut through the locking bolt. The first collar fell away. The creature gasped, sucking in air like she had been drowning. 2 more to go. Daehyun worked faster now. Each collar took 15 minutes to remove safely. When the last one hit the floor, the creature collapsed completely. She was unconscious, her breathing finally peaceful. Daehyun sat down hard, his heart racing. What had he just done? The station's alarm suddenly blared to life. Red lights flashed. Hana's voice came over the speaker system. Tight. With fear. Emergency alert. Unknown fleet entering the system. They're broadcasting on all channels. Military-grade vessels. Daehyun, get to the control room now. He ran, leaving the unconscious creature in the salvage bay. The control room was chaos. Every screen showed the same thing. 15 massive warships had appeared at the edge of the system. They were not human vessels. The design was alien, aggressive, covered in weapons. Hana played the broadcast. The voice was translated by the computer, but the growling undertone was clear. This is the Vexari Warfleet. We seek our lost warrior. Return what was taken, or this station will be destroyed. You have 12 hours. Daehyun's blood went cold. The creature in the salvage bay, she was not just any prisoner. She was a warrior, and her people had come to find her. The station went into lockdown mode. Every worker was ordered to their quarters. Daehyun stood in the control room with Hana and Commander Taemin, who had arrived from the security division. Taemin was a military man, strict and cold. He looked at Daehyun like he wanted to throw him out of an airlock. You opened a slave pod without authorization, Taemin said. His voice was flat and angry. Do you understand what you have done? I freed someone who was being tortured, Daehyun replied. You freed a Vexari warrior. Do you know what that means? Daehyun did not. He had heard of the Vexari but never met one. They were a warrior race from the other side of explored space. Powerful, dangerous, and they kept to themselves mostly. Hana pulled up information on the main screen. The Vexari have a strict honor system. Their warriors are sacred to their culture. Especially the War Guardians. What is a War Guardian? Daehyun asked. Elite protectors. There are only 12 in the entire Vexari species. They are trained from childhood to be living weapons. Each one can take on 100 normal soldiers. They protect Vexari worlds, lead their armies, and represent their people's strength. Hana looked worried. If one was captured by slave traders, it would be the worst insult imaginable to the Vexari. Taemin slammed his hand on the console. And now they think we have her. They will destroy this station, and everyone on it, if we do not hand her over immediately. Then we tell them the truth, Daehyun said. We found her in salvage. She was a prisoner. I freed her. And you think they will believe that? They will think we captured her ourselves. A message came through. The Vexari fleet was asking to speak with station leadership. Taemin accepted the call. The screen filled with the face of an older Vexari male. His fur was silver with age, and his eyes were sharp and intelligent. Scars crossed his face. Old marks from many battles. I am Elder Soren, commander of this fleet. You have one of our war guardians. Her name is Chiral. She was taken from us 6 months ago. We have tracked her across 15 systems. Return her now, and we will leave peacefully. Taemin spoke carefully. Commander Soren, we found your warrior in a damaged slave vessel. She was badly injured and restrained. One of our mechanics freed her from the containment pod. We did not capture her. We rescued her. Soren's eyes narrowed. You freed a war guardian? Yes. She is alive and recovering in our medical bay. Ween 10. She no have together. This was not entirely true. Kiral was still in the salvage bay, where Dae-hyun had left her. But they had moved her to medical after Dae-hyun came to the control room. I wish to see her, Soren said. They arranged a video link to the medical bay. Kiral was awake now. Yuna, the station's medical officer, had treated her wounds and given her water. The Vexari warrior sat on the medical bed, looking much stronger than before. When she saw Soren on the screen, her ears went back, and she made a sound like a growl mixed with a whine. Soren spoke to her in their own language. The words were harsh and flowing at the same time. Kiral responded, her voice rough from disuse. They talked for several minutes. Dae-hyun watched, unable to understand but feeling the emotion in the exchange. Finally, Soren turned back to the camera. His expression was complicated. Kiral confirms your story. She says, a human male freed her from the collars. She says he risked his life to remove them, because the collars were set to kill. That is correct, Taemin said. The mechanic's name is Dae-hyun. I wish to speak with this Dae-hyun. They brought Dae-hyun in front of the camera. He felt small under Soren's examining gaze. The old warrior studied him for a long moment. You freed Kiral, Soren said. Yes. She was in pain. The collars were hurting her. I could not leave her like that. Why? She is not your species. You owed her nothing. Dae-hyun was not sure how to answer. Because it was the right thing to do. She is a person. She was suffering. Soren made a sound like a thoughtful grunt. Kiral wishes to speak with you. I will allow this. The camera switched to show Kiral. She looked directly at Dae-hyun. Up close, even through a screen, she was intimidating. Her amber eyes were fierce and intelligent. She spoke, and the computer translated her words into basic English. You are the one who freed me. Her voice was deep and rough. Yes, you did not have to. You could have left me in that box. Why did you help? Number 4. Number 4. Number 4. I already told your commander. It was the right thing to do. Kiral tilted her head, studying him. Among my people, there is a sacred law. When a war guardian is freed by another being, that guardian may choose to bond with their rescuer. It is called the hunt's choice. The guardian becomes protector to the one who showed them mercy. Dae-hyun blinked. I do not understand. I was captured. I was weak. I failed my duty. By our laws, I should face judgment. But you freed me. Human, you risked your life to remove collars that would have killed you if you made one mistake. You showed courage and kindness to a stranger, Hana whispered behind Dae-hyun. This is important. Listen carefully. Kiral continued. I invoke the hunt's choice. If I am to return to my people with honor, I must first prove I am worthy. And I choose to prove myself by protecting you. Dae-hyun, you will be my bonded charge. I will guard your life with my own. The control room went silent. Even Taemin looked shocked. Elder Soren appeared back on the screen. His expression was unreadable. Kiral has made her choice. This has not happened in 400 years. A war guardian has chosen a human as their bonded charge. What does that mean? Dae-hyun asked. It means Kiral will dedicate her life to protecting you. Where you go, she goes. Your enemies become her enemies. Your battles become her battles. It is a sacred vow that cannot be broken except by death. Dae-hyun felt dizzy. I just wanted to help. I did not ask for this. No one asks for the hunt's choice, Soren said. It is given freely by the guardian. But there is a problem. Not all Vexari will accept this choice. Some will see it as weakness. Kiral must undergo the proving trial. She must fight to prove her choice was made with a sound mind and strong spirit. Fight who? Dae-hyun asked, though he already knew the answer. 3 of our warriors. If she wins, the bond is recognized. If she loses, she will return with us, and you will never see her again. The trial will happen in 6 hours. Prepare yourself, human. Your life just became very complicated. Dae-hyun sat in his quarters, trying to process everything that had happened. 6 hours ago, he was just a mechanic. Now he was somehow bonded to an alien warrior, and she had to fight 3 opponents to prove she was not making a mistake by choosing him. There was a knock on his door. Hana entered without waiting for an answer. She looked stressed. Your brother just docked. He heard about the Vexari fleet and came to check on you. Minho was 2 years younger than Dae-hyun. He worked as a shuttle pilot, moving cargo between stations. The brothers were not always close, but they looked out for each other. Minho burst into the room a minute later. What is going on? There are 15 warships outside, and people are saying you freed some kind of alien warrior princess? Not a princess. A war guardian. And yes, I freed her. Dae-hyun explained everything. Minho listened, his expression changing from confusion to disbelief to worry. So now she wants to be your bodyguard for life? Apparently. And if she loses this trial fight, what happens to you? Nothing. She goes back with her people. I go back to fixing ships. And if she wins? Dae-hyun did not have a good answer for that. They moved to the cargo bay where the trial would take place. The Vexari had sent 3 warriors to the station. They came in a small shuttle, armed but supposedly peaceful. Elder Soren came with them. So did another war guardian named Jinwoo. Jinwoo was massive, even bigger than Kirill. His fur was dark red with black patterns. He moved like a predator. All controlled power and confidence. When he saw Dae-hyun, his lip curled to show sharp teeth. This is the human? This small, soft thing? Jinwoo's voice was full of contempt. Kirill has shamed herself. She was captured by slavers, and now she bonds with prey species. She is weak. Kirill. Elder Soren spoke sharply to Jinwoo in their language. The younger guardian growled, but went quiet. Kirill entered the cargo bay. She wore simple combat clothes provided by the station. The burns on her neck from the collars were still visible. She looked tired, but her eyes were clear and focused. Yuna, the medical officer, pulled Dae-hyun aside. She was a small woman, with kind eyes and a serious manner. I need to tell you something, she said quietly. Kirill is not at full strength. The months of torture and the neural collars did serious damage. I estimate she is operating at maybe 40% of her normal capacity. This trial could kill her. Then we should stop it. Dae-hyun said immediately. She will not stop. I already tried to talk to her. She says this is a matter of honor. If she does not fight, she goes back with them in disgrace. She would rather die than face that shame. Dae-hyun felt sick. This was his fault. If he had just left the pod alone, Kirill would be home with her people. She might be facing judgment, but at least she would not be forced to fight while injured. The trial was about to begin. 3 Vexari warriors stood on one side of the bay. They were all large and well-armed with training weapons that could stun and hurt but not kill. Kirill stood alone on the other side. Elder Soren explained the rules. The trial lasts until Kirill yields or is unable to continue. The 3 warriors will try to subdue her. If she defeats all 3, or if she remains standing when the time limit ends, she wins. The time limit is 1 hour. 1 hour? Minho whispered. She has to fight 3 trained warriors for an hour while injured. Hana shook her head. This is not fair. They are making it impossible. Jinwoo stepped forward. I request the right to participate in the trial. I wish to test Kirill's resolve, myself. Elder Soren considered this. You are a war guardian. Your participation would make the trial even more difficult. If her choice is true, she should be able to prove it against the strongest opposition. Kirill spoke up. I accept. Let Jinwoo fight. It changes nothing. Dae-hyun could not stay quiet anymore. Everyone turned to stare at him. Jin-woo laughed, a harsh barking sound. A human wants to fight? You would break like dry grass. Maybe. But this is about me. Right? She chose me. So let me stand with her. Let me show I am worth her choice. Elder Soren looked at Kiral. Kiral studied Dae-hyun. Something shifted in her expression. You would fight beside me? You are not a warrior. You will be hurt. You are hurt already. And you are still fighting. Let me help. For the first time, Kiral smiled. It was a small expression, but real. Very well. We fight. Together. The trial began. Jin-woo and the three warriors came fast and hard. They were testing Kiral immediately, trying to overwhelm her while she was weak. Dae-hyun grabbed a metal pipe from a nearby supply crate. It was not much, but it was something. The first warrior came at him. Dae-hyun was not a fighter, but he was smart. He rolled under the warrior's grab and swung the pipe at the back of his knee. The warrior stumbled. Kiral was there instantly, striking with precise blows that sent the warrior down. 1 down. 3 to go, including Jin-woo. The next 20 minutes were brutal. Dae-hyun used every trick he could think of. He threw tools and equipment to distract the warriors. He used the cargo bay's machinery to create obstacles. He was not strong enough to fight them directly, but he could make their job harder. Kiral fought with savage determination. She was slowing down, her movements less fluid as exhaustion set in, but she kept going. Every time a warrior got close to Dae-hyun, she was there to intercept. Jin-woo was the real problem. He was fast and powerful, and he was not holding back. He wanted Kiral to fail. He struck her hard across the face, sending her sprawling. Then, he turned toward Dae-hyun. Let me show you what happens to weak humans who distract warriors from their duty. He lunged. Dae-hyun tried to dodge, but was not fast enough. Jin-woo's clawed hand came down toward his chest. Dae-hyun knew this was going to hurt badly. Then Kiral hit Jin-woo like a meteor. She tackled him from the side with a roar that shook the cargo bay. They went down together, rolling and fighting with vicious intensity. Kiral was wounded and tired. But in that moment, she fought like she was unstoppable. Touch him again, she snarled, and I will tear your throat out, brother or not. Jin-woo froze. So did everyone else. The protective rage in Kiral's voice was unmistakable. Elder Soren called the trial to a halt. Enough. I have seen what I needed to see. Indiscreem. I won too. Indiscreem. Indiscreem. Kiral stood up slowly, blood dripping from new cuts. Dae-hyun ran to her, helping support her weight. She was shaking with exhaustion. Soren looked at Jin-woo. Do you still doubt her choice? Jin-woo stared at Kiral for a long moment. Then he bowed his head. No, Elder. The bond is true. She would die for him. Then it is recognized. Kiral, you are bound to Dae-hyun by the hunt's choice. Where he goes, you go. May you both bring each other honor. Kiral leaned heavily on Dae-hyun. She whispered, so only he could hear. Thank you for standing with me. Always, Dae-hyun said, and meant it. The Vexari fleet left the system 3 days later. Elder Soren gave Kiral formal permission to remain with Dae-hyun. Before departing, the old commander pulled Dae-hyun aside for a private conversation. You freed Kiral from her chains, Soren said. That was an act of mercy. But you should understand what you have accepted. Kiral's enemies are now your enemies. The slavers who captured her are part of a large criminal organization. They will want revenge. Why would they care about me? Because you cost them a valuable prize. A war guardian could have been sold for enough money to buy a small moon. They will come for you. And they will not be gentle. Dae-hyun felt cold. I know. But good intentions do not stop bad people. Be careful. human. And take care of Kirill. She is precious to us. The next few weeks were strange. Kirill stayed close to Dae-hyun at all times. She slept outside his quarters. She followed him to the salvage bay when he worked. At first, the other station workers were frightened of her. A 7-foot-tall predator walking around made people nervous. But Kirill was patient. She learned basic English quickly. She helped with heavy lifting in the salvage bay. She was curious about human machines and asked Dae-hyun to explain how things worked. Slowly, people got used to her presence. Minho visited often. He and Kirill developed an odd friendship. Minho was loud and joking, while Kirill was serious and watchful. But they balanced each other somehow. Your brother has a good heart, Kirill told Dae-hyun one day. He worries about you. He thinks I am going to get myself killed. He is probably correct, Kirill said. There might have been humor in her voice. Hana warned Dae-hyun that his life was about to change. News of the War Guardian bonding had spread through the galaxy. Some people thought it was amazing. Others thought it was disturbing. Dae-hyun received messages from reporters, researchers, and even marriage proposals from people who wanted to meet a human bonded to a Vexari. You are famous now, Hana said. I hope you are ready for it. Dae-hyun was not ready. He just wanted to go back to fixing ships and living quietly. But that option was gone. The attack came 3 months after Kirill's trial. Dae-hyun was working late in the salvage bay. Kirill was with him, as always. The station's alarm system did not go off. The attackers had disabled it somehow. 8 figures in combat armor burst into the bay. They carried stun weapons and neural nets. One of them spoke through a helmet speaker. Dae-hyun and the Vexari. You are both coming with us. Cooperate. And you will not be hurt too badly. Kirill moved in front of Dae-hyun instantly. Her whole body tensed. You should leave now. This is your only warning. The lead attacker laughed. 1 guardian? Against 8 armed fighters? You lost last time, Cat. This time will be the same. Last time I was collared and starved. This time I am free. What happened next was fast and brutal. Kirill moved like lightning. The first attacker did not even see her coming. She hit him so hard, he flew backward into a pile of scrap metal. The second one tried to shoot her with a stun weapon. Kirill dodged, grabbed his arm, and broke it with a casual twist. The others tried to surround her. They were trained fighters, working as a team. But Kirill was a war guardian. She fought with precision and fury, turning the salvage bay into a battlefield. Metal rang as bodies hit machinery. Someone screamed. One attacker got past Kirill and came for Dae-hyun. Dae-hyun grabbed a plasma torch and swung it wildly. The attacker dodged easily and punched Dae-hyun in the stomach. He went down, gasping. Kirill's roar shook the entire bay. She crossed the distance in 2 huge leaps and caught the attacker by the throat. I warned you, she said, and threw him through a wall panel. The remaining attackers fled. They had come expecting an easy capture. Instead, they found a war guardian who was done being a victim. Kirill helped Dae-hyun to his feet. Just bruised. You were amazing. I was protecting my bonded charge. It is what I do. My percent. Station security arrived minutes later. Taemin questioned the captured attackers. They were mercenaries hired by a man named Changmin. Dae-hyun recognized the name. Changmin was a slave trader, one of the most successful in the outer systems. Taemin showed them a file on Changmin. The man was rich, powerful, and completely ruthless. He had been the one who captured Kirill originally. He wants revenge, Taemin said. This was just the first attempt. There will be more. A message arrived on the station's communication system. It was addressed to Dae-hyun. When they played it, a human man appeared on the screen. He was middle-aged, well-dressed, and smiled like a businessman. Hello, Dae-hyun. My name is Changmin. You cost me a great deal of money when you freed my property. I do not appreciate that. I am willing to forgive this mistake if you return the Vexari to me. I will pay you well for your trouble. She is not property, Daehyun said. Even though it was a recording, Changmin continued. If you refuse, I will make your life very difficult. I have resources you cannot imagine. But let me show you, I am serious about my offer. The screen changed. It showed a cargo hold on some ship. Inside were 3 Vexari, all female, all wearing the same collars that Kiral had worn. They were injured and barely conscious. I recently acquired 3 more Vexari warriors, not guardians, but still valuable. I plan to sell them to the highest bidder next week. If you deliver Kiral to me, I will release these 3 as a gesture of good faith. Think about it. You could save 3 lives by sacrificing 1. I will contact you again soon. The message ended. The control room was silent. Kiral's hands were shaking. She stared at the screen where the 3 captive Vexari had been shown. I know them. They are from my home world. They are young, barely trained. They were supposed to be on patrol duty near the border. How did he capture them? No one had an answer. Daehyun felt rage building in his chest. We have to help them. How? Hana asked. We do not know where Changmin is. We do not have the resources to fight a slave empire. Then we find resources. We get help. We do something. Minho spoke up. Daehyun, this is bigger than us. This is not just about freeing a few prisoners. Changmin runs an entire network. He has ships, soldiers, money. What can we do against that? Daehyun looked at Kiral. She met his eyes. In that moment, they understood each other perfectly. I did not ask for this, Daehyun said. I did not want to be famous, or important, or involved in anything dangerous. I just wanted to help someone who was suffering. But now, I know the truth. There are more people suffering. More prisoners. More slaves. And Changmin thinks he can threaten me into giving up Kiral. What are you saying? Hana asked. I am saying we find out where that auction is happening, and we stop it. Taemin shook his head. That is suicide. Maybe. But I freed Kiral. Because it was the right thing to do. This is also the right thing to do. Kiral placed her hand on Daehyun's shoulder. Where you go, I go. If you choose to fight this battle, then I fight beside you. It might get us both killed. Then we die with honor. It is better than living with shame. The decision was made. Planning the rescue took 2 weeks. Daehyun used every contact he had to gather information. Minho talked to other pilots who worked the outer trade routes. Hana accessed black market communication channels. Slowly, they pieced together where Changmin would hold his auction. It was on a station called Haven's End, deep in neutral territory where no government had authority. The station was owned by criminals and used for illegal trade. Security would be heavy. Getting in would be nearly impossible. Getting out alive would be even harder. They needed help. Kiral sent a message to Elder Soren, explaining the situation. His response came 2 days later. He could not send the entire Vexari fleet into neutral space without causing a political incident. But he could send volunteers. 4 Vexari warriors arrived at the salvage station. One of them was Jinwoo. The big war guardian nodded to Kiral with respect. I doubted you before, Jinwoo said. I was wrong. If you fight to free our people, then I fight beside you. The other 3 warriors were younger but eager. They wanted to prove themselves. Having 4 trained Vexari warriors made the mission slightly less suicidal. Only slightly. Sora arrived on the station 3 days before they planned to leave. She was a human diplomat who had worked with the Vexari before. She was in her 50s, sharp and experienced. She had heard about Daehyun's plan and came to help. You are going to need someone who can talk your way through doors, Sora said. Diplomats have access to places that warriors do not. This is not a diplomatic mission, Daehyun pointed out. Every mission needs diplomacy until the shooting starts. Let me help. They could not refuse the assistance. Every person increased their chances, even if only by a small amount. The plan was risky. Dae-hyun would pretend to be a buyer at the auction. His reputation as the human who bonded with a war guardian gave him credibility. Rich collectors would believe he wanted more Vexari warriors. Minho would pilot them in using his cargo shuttle. Sora would handle the paperwork and bribes to get them through security. Once inside, Kiral and the other warriors would strike fast. Free the prisoners. Fight their way to the docking bay. Escape before reinforcements arrived. What could go wrong? Minho said sarcastically. Everything, Hana replied. She had decided to stay on the salvage station and coordinate communication. Someone needed to call for help if things went bad. They left on a quiet morning. The shuttle was packed with weapons, equipment, and nervous people. Dae-hyun sat next to Kiral during the flight. She was checking her gear with careful precision. Are you afraid? Dae-hyun asked. Always. Fear keeps you alert. Only fools are not afraid before battle. What if we fail? Then we fail trying to do the right thing. That is better than succeeding at doing nothing. Haven's End station was massive and ugly. It looked like someone had built a city out of scrap metal and violence. Ships of every type crowded the docking bays. The security team that boarded their shuttle looked bored and corrupt. Sora handed them a credit chip and suddenly all the questions went away. Inside the station, everything was dark and crowded. The air smelled like chemicals and sweat. People of a dozen different species moved through the corridors, all of them looking dangerous. The auction was in a large cargo hold that had been converted into a viewing theater. Rich buyers sat in comfortable seats while prisoners were displayed on a stage. Dae-hyun felt sick watching it. These were people being sold like equipment. Changmin was there, greeting buyers and making deals. He saw Dae-hyun and smiled. I am so glad you came. I knew you were a reasonable man. Have you brought my property? I came to make a deal, Dae-hyun said carefully. Excellent. The Vexari warriors are the final lot of the day. Very expensive, but worth every credit. I have 3 buyers interested already. Dae-hyun kept Changmin talking while Kiral and the others moved into position. They had split up to cover different entrances. The plan required perfect timing. When the Vexari prisoners were brought onto the stage, that was the signal. The 3 captive warriors looked terrible. They had been beaten and starved. The collars around their necks glowed with active power. Changmin's assistant began describing their capabilities to the buyers. Dae-hyun caught Kiral's eye across the room. She nodded once. Then everything exploded into chaos. Kiral and Jinwoo moved first, leaping from their hiding spots. They hit the guards around the stage before anyone could react. The other Vexari warriors blocked the exits, preventing Changmin's soldiers from rushing in. Dae-hyun ran toward the stage. He had a device Yuna had built, something that could disable the collars remotely. He just needed to get close enough. Changmin screamed for his guards. Bullets and energy blasts filled the air. One of the Vexari warriors went down, injured but alive. Jinwoo fought like a demon, taking on 6 guards at once. Dae-hyun reached the stage and activated the device. The collars on the 3 prisoners sparked and fell off. The captive Vexari immediately joined the fight, even though they were weak and injured. Get to the shuttle, Kiral roared. They fought their way toward the docking bay. More guards arrived. Changmin's voice echoed through the station's speakers, ordering everyone to stop them. It was a running battle through narrow corridors and crowded spaces. Hana's voice came through their communicators. I am reading massive movement. Changmin is sending everything he has. You need to move faster. They were almost at the docking bay when disaster struck. An explosion tore through the corridor ahead. Debris fell everywhere. The blast had sealed their path to the shuttle. Alternative route, Minho shouted. Bay 14. They changed direction, but the detour cost them time. Guards were closing in from behind. One of them got a clear shot at Dae-hyun. The energy blast was going to hit him directly. Hana threw herself in front of Daehyun. The blast caught her in the chest. She fell hard. No. Daehyun dropped to his knees beside her. Hana's eyes were unfocused. Get out of here, she whispered. Do not make my sacrifice meaningless. We can carry you. Too slow. Kiral gently pulled Daehyun away. She is right. We must go now. They ran. Daehyun's eyes burned with tears. Behind them, Hana's voice shouted a final warning to the guards. Buying them a few more seconds, they reached Bay 14. Minho had already remote started the shuttle. Everyone piled inside. Jinwoo was the last one in. Still fighting, as the door closed. The shuttle launched under heavy fire. Minho pushed the engines to maximum. Energy blasts scorched the hull. One of the shuttle's stabilizers was hit. They spun wildly for a moment before Minho regained control. They cleared the station's weapon range. Behind them, Haven's End grew smaller. They had succeeded. The 3 Vexari warriors were free. But Hana was gone. The flight back was silent. Daehyun sat alone, his head in his hands. Kiral sat down beside him. Your friend was brave, she said quietly. She should not have died. This is my fault. She chose to protect you. That is a warrior's choice. Honor it by living well. Daehyun looked at Kiral. Changmin is still out there. So are hundreds of other slavers. How many more people are suffering right now? Many. Too many. I cannot go back to fixing ships and pretending none of this exists. I know too much now. Kiral nodded slowly. What will you do? I do not know yet. But I cannot stop. Hana died to save me. I have to make that mean something. Then we will make it mean something. Together. 2 weeks later, Daehyun stood in the salvage bay, looking at a star map. Minho had marked locations where slave traders were known to operate. There were dozens of them. Kiral stood beside him. The 3 rescued Vexari warriors had chosen to stay and help. Jinwoo had sent word back to Elder Soren. More volunteers were coming. Kiral, Sora had survived the escape and was using her diplomatic contacts to spread information about Changmin's operations. She had also found people willing to fund their mission. Wealthy individuals who hated slavery were providing money and equipment. What started as one mechanic freeing one prisoner was becoming something larger. A movement. A resistance. Minho walked up with a data pad. Got word from 3 different sources. Changmin is still operating, but he is being more careful now. He also put a huge bounty on your head. How much? Enough to buy a nice ship? You are famous, brother. I did not want to be famous. Too late now. Daehyun looked at Kiral. You said where I go, you go. That offer still good? Always. Even if it means fighting slavers across the galaxy? Even if it is dangerous and might get us killed? Kiral smiled, showing her sharp teeth. Especially then. You freed me from chains. Now we free others. It is a good purpose. Daehyun nodded. He looked at the star map again, at all those marked locations where people were suffering. He thought about Hana and her sacrifice. He thought about the 3 Vexari warriors they had saved. One act of mercy had changed everything. He had freed an enslaved predator without knowing what would happen. Now, a war guardian had chosen him. And together, they would keep fighting. All right, Daehyun said. Let us get to work. We have people to save. Behind him, Kiral stood tall and ready. She would follow. And together, they would show the galaxy what humans and Vexari could do when they fought side by side for something that mattered. The war against slavery had just found its most unlikely champions.